Attention Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast.
Sorry.
I'm your host, Mr. What happened?
I'm so sorry that you're listening.
Oh, yeah, we are sorry.
We apologize in advance for this.
I'm your host, Mr. Lobo, and my co-host is Paul Sanders of Bestow TV, producer.
Yeah, I actually get to be in a full episode.
And
after the last two episodes.
Yeah, well, you know, we needed your technical expertise on the other side.
And that's what's wrong with the show.
Well, this show wouldn't exist without you, so.
And that's a bad thing because.
We are back home at the OSI headquarters, luxurious OSI studios.
It's been a long time since we've recorded it in here together.
I think it has. We've got lovely beverages here. I've got the Mountain Dew Baja Blast. That's right. Or is it's Baja, right? It's properly Baja.
Bija?
Our friends south of the border might say Baja.
And it came from Toxic
Baja.
Hell.
Toxic, or we talk about Taco Bell.
Yeah,
now,
Toxic Hell.
And now, this flavor used to only be a Taco Bell exclusive.
Correct. And actually, if you look at the can, it has the logo on it.
Does it have the Taco Bell logo?
Yes.
Oh, wow, it does. How about that?
Well, Taco Bell is owned by PepsiCo.
Right. Mountain Dew is owned by Pepsi, and so is Taco Bell.
And now you know.
And
good night, folks.
Yeah, that's it. But Baja Blast. It's funny because I don't want to paint the picture of the type of person who really likes Baja Blast Mountain Dew, but I do remember. I remember two instances. One is there was this guy who always came into the Taco Bell with an old cup from his car, and would go to the honor bar or the fountain, the self-serve fountain, and fill up his cup from his car and leave. Didn't buy anything at the Taco Bell. And I always thought that was super gross that this guy just kept bringing this old broken waxy cup that's been drinking out of I don't know how many times. Got like,
He probably doesn't even wash it. It just sits in the car.
Yeah, it's got like rug fibers and stuff all over it and dirt from his floor mats on it.
So how is Carlos doing?
Yeah. I was gonna call him out, and then someone who worked at Taco Bell told me a story of a guy who had a false a tube going through the bottom of a cup that went up his sleeve and down his pants and into a 2-liter bottle, in which he would try to steal a whole. He would go to the honor bar and fill a whole container's worth of Baja Blast in his pants and leave.
Wasn't that what you always do anyway? Technically,
yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it goes out the pants eventually. But the idea is that he wanted to have the Baja Blast taste at home, and was stealing it from the Taco Bell and taking it out.
Just go in and buy one of the boxes. Just like, can I have just one of the boxes from the machine? I'll just buy the syrup.
Yeah. Start your own Taco Bell franchise just so you
so you'd have Baja Blast.
Just so you can have Baja Blast. So people love this stuff, and now, of course, like everything, like every other whim in this day and age, this is like Milan sauce, right? Every stupid whim is entertained now because of the internet, and I don't know why, but I feel it's because of the internet. And now we have Baja Blast. You can just get it in the store, and and you've got you're promoting. I mean, I feel like they should get a discount if they got to put the Taco Bell logo on it, because I'm getting promoted too.
Well, I feel the same way when you go to a store and you have to check yourself out. I should get an employee discount for having to check myself out.
I like that.
Because I've noticed that stores nowadays, they just force you to go through the self-checkout to not have to pay other people. So I should get an employee discount.
I like that.
I always believed that.
Yeah, we're working for
You're doing their job for them.
job for them. Yes, by checking your own groceries. We really, I guess this is the zero. What episode is this, Paul?
This episode ends in a 1, so you know what that means, right?
We have to not talk about something.
We have to not talk about something, and I believe somebody suggested what we shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, Paul Tidd.
Yes.
No, not that.
Different
Not you,
Paul.
Paul.
Okay.
Paul Tidd.
Yes.
I believe. No, you're not Paul Tidd.
Oh. Wait, let me check my license.
Okay.
You're right. I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul.
My bad.
Tidd,
Yes.
who is a Paul? Stop it. Not you, Paul.
Okay.
Tidd, if you're
the
listening.
other Paul.
Don't stop listening, Paul. But Paul,
Sorry for this Abbott and Costello routine,
Yes.
Paul.
one of our listeners, who shall not be
Mr.
named,
Tibb.
yes, Tidd, not Tib. They call me
Mr. Tidd.
Mr. Tibbed. One of our listeners suggested that we should not talk about the Avengers.
Perfect. Let's not talk about the Avengers. What do you want to not say about the Avengers?
Now, on the day before the film officially opened, right? Fridays are usually the official
Friday's
opening,
the official.
which is technically at the recording of this broadcast today, right? Today's Friday.
Today's not Friday.
Oh, it's Saturday technically, middle of the night.
Oh, actually, it is Friday because it's only 11:18.
Okay.
Sorry, I got
So
lost there.
Friday, so this at the recording of this broadcast, the Avengers is opening in theaters across the country, or not the Avengers,
Infinity
but
War.
Avengers Infinity War.
Correct.
Right. I like to call it Marvengers.
Marvengers?
It's a cross between Marvel and Avengers.
I would have never figured that out.
Marvengers Infinite Wars. And I think that that's a better title. But
I see why you don't work for Marvel or Disney. This is why we're sitting here making these podcasts. You know that, right?
well, until I've got better ideas, we're just stuck here.
Okay.
So we saw this film. Both Paul and I saw it separately last night. I saw it at the beautiful Anthony Wayne Theater.
But you didn't see it.
I didn't.
But you didn't because we're not talking about the Avengers. So
Well,
you couldn't have seen it.
I can see it.
You could see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's still okay to see.
I'm just
it.
making sure we're not talking.
Are the
about
rules? We haven't really set up the rules yet.
don't know.
I'm just establishing that this thing that we're not.
I'm surprised
talking
we even
about-
made it 21 freaking episodes, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, because really,
we're keeping up a trend that was from the number 1 episodes. So.
yeah, because really, like I think that the 20th episode is usually where most podcasts are.
Yeah, we forgot to celebrate that because the standard is most podcasts don't make it to 20.
Well, I don't know if we forgot because I feel like this would be the celebration, the fact that we broke that.
Oh, okay.
Right. So,
Okay.
so we are talking about it, I think, at the appropriate time because most podcasts do not make it to 20 episodes.
That's why like a lot of things like iTunes and such don't want to rank you until you've passed the 20th episode.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll start getting
Oh,
ranked.
which reminds me, I
Yes.
should throw this out there. We are now available on Sketcher. Sketcher?
Stitcher.
Stitcher, my bad. What time is it? Hold on, let me snort some more Coke.
Yeah. And put your Skechers back
Put my
on, Paul.
Skechers
Your
back
feet
on.
are stinking. up
That's
the
what
place.
that is. Yeah, we're officially on Stitcher.
Stitcher.
So look
okay.
up,
There's so many things. Like today, somebody was posting about Twitch.
Yes.
And I guess Shout Factory has got a channel, or I guess what they're called on Twitch, but they've got one on Twitch. And it's like, why don't we have one? Why doesn't OSI-74 have a Twitch? I mean, what does it take to get something going on Twitch?
Usually this.
For those of you at home, Paul is having a conniption fit.
It's not a conniption; it's a twitch.
Okay, he's got his Chief Inspector Dreyfus eye is acting up again. So Paul,
I mean, I've heard several people have shouted out that Bestow TV should make the leap from the sinking ship known as YouTube to
Twitch. Yeah, and I think OSI.
I'm a traditionalist, so I have a hard
OSI
time.
might be an easy. I don't want to say easy, but since we have so many people creating content for OSI, I think that you have to produce so much content to have your own channel.
Right.
So if we all teamed up,
When I had tried for the application, I want to say a year ago, it was you have to produce a brand new something at least 3 times a week, whereas YouTube is 1 time a week to be viable.
Okay.
You have to do 3 times a week. And the reason why I'm personally hesitant is Twitch is more of a gaming page.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to compete against YouTube.
But if you've got let's say if you've got back stock, you've got a lot of videos.
This is an awesome way of not talking about the Avengers.
The other people haven't seen other video that people haven't seen. I mean, as long as you've got video up there that hasn't been up there already, you're still compliant with that, right? Something to think about.
Sure.
So I don't know what that had to do with. Oh, I guess there's all the things about our podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess our very first podcast, we didn't talk about Star Wars.
Right.
It was the famous "Not a Star Wars Pilot," I believe, was our first one,
which was supposed to be more of a pun than.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't talk about Star Wars.
We didn't talk about
the
Star
pilot
Wars.
And
in the pilot, and I think these things are still true, is I think that usually a podcast are a couple of hapless guys who are not very well prepared, who are just using the events of the day as an excuse to talk about themselves. We pretty much consistently done that, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I feel like we have fulfilled our obligation as far as creating a podcast that delivers what you want with a podcast. 2 guys who really are unprofessional and don't quite know what they're doing.
Right, guys.
A couple of dudes being guys. So
if we're a couple of guys being dudes,
we're gonna go take a break because that's probably the most professional aspect of this show is the fact that we go out to breaks and come back, right? It gives it sort of a format.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody's complained about it. So.
The parts that we're away, I think, are the best parts.
The parts where you don't have to hear our voices.
Yeah.
Finally, they shut up.
Yeah. So we're gonna send you all over to some very well produced spots, and we'll be back with some more drivel.
Secret Wars.
Marvel supervillains are coming.
Secret Wars.
Can the Marvel superheroes stop them?
Marvel supervillains and superheroes figures, each sold separately. Here, Doctor Doom and the Doom Platoon, Magneto, Dr. Octopus. There, Captain America and the Champions of Freedom, Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Secret Wars. The secret's out.
Dr. Doom and Spider-Man, the Marvel Secret Wars collection. Other figures each sold separately.
From Mattel.
Talking about professionalism.
Oh, so professional.
It's like, all right, go.
Who was the guy? Who was the guy? Was he from? Was it a Flern?
Flern?
Yeah, the guy who said, "You're so professional." I don't know if he has an accent.
Who?
He was one of our fans who was listening. It was one of our early YouTube comments that what he liked about the show was that we were professional. and I kept thinking, are you being sarcastic? You son of a...
How do I read this?
Oh, wait a second. Maybe he's serious. Maybe he thinks that we sound professional. I feel like this is a real, for Paul and I at least, or I'll speak for myself. Paul can speak for himself. This is probably the loosest thing that I allow myself to produce is the podcast, is because usually I like things to be a little more. I like to know where we're going typically when I start something. What do you think, Paul?
I plead the fifth. No. Yeah, what I think is that usually I'm the behind the scenes guy. I don't really have too much of a voice, and I don't really. Everything that you see of me is what's compromised with your photo and with your editing and everything else. So it's a chance to actually just talk, and it's a way of getting out and just I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like speaking out out, and I don't really like the fact that the other people are listening to me. But it's how to overcome it. You just do it.
Yeah, and I think this I think this is it's like therapy for both of us. I think in a lot of ways.
Which reminds me, you sent me this really huge bill, and I don't know what it's for.
Yeah. That's that's what we're helping you. You don't get better until you pay for it.
It was almost like Iron Man in size.
Iron Man
was almost an
incisors.
Iron size. Yeah,
he has
size.
huge teeth.
It's almost like the bill was about the size of the Hulk.
The bill was the size of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yes. Was it the size of Asgard?
Yeah, the Asgard.
You need an Asgard, Paul.
He was bigger than the Thing. I know he wasn't in the Avengers, but
No, he won't be.
I just wanted to turn it perverted
until Fox lets that go. Right? Is it Fox that's got Fantastic Four?
Well, all right. So the deal went through, but the government has to approve it to make sure that there's no monopoly. So we had to wait 18 months from whenever the deal went through, which I assume was in January. Just guessing it was in January. If the government doesn't step in and say, "Hey, this is a monopoly," then yeah, everything goes to Disney.
So Disney will be what, controlling all of Fox or some of Fox?
They will be doing television and movies of Fox, but Fox will still have Fox News.
Oh wow!
And
my
some other
God.
elements. But as far as the Fantastic Four goes, there was a story that came out where there's a German company that actually owns the rights to the Fantastic Four, not Fox. Fox has the distribution rights.
I see.
So a lot of people were like, "Well, that's bullshit. Disney's not going to get control of the Fantastic Four, because this other company has it." But the thing is, the distribution deal goes to Disney as well.
The thing is,
it's
clobbering time.
Good catch. Sucked. Disney will have the distribution rights, so this company can't hold out because they're going to have to produce a movie every 4 years. They have to produce a movie, or they lose the rights.
Is that how the Corman one came about? Is because
they were going to lose the rights, so they just make a shitty one.
Yeah,
and the thing is,
they've been making shitty ones for years.
And the thing is this company, they're never going to be able to. They're ultimately going to have to give the rights back to Disney anyway. It's from my understanding, because Disney has the distribution rights to it, so they can't.
They need to play ball with Disney no matter
Yeah, they
what.
can't make a shitty movie because Disney's just not going to approve it.
Yeah.
They've got distribution rights to it. So unless
don't
they're
know.
just going to
I have mixed feelings
going to
about-
blow money and put it in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about all of that. I on the one hand, I can't stand the fact that one company owns so much of the popular imagination. I mean, literally owns pretty much the all of our dreams are owned by Disney, so in some way, shape, or form. The Muppets, Pixar, everything.
I mean, it's like
Star Wars.
I guess what, a slippery slope, because it's like you want Marvel to have all their franchises
But I think
back so that they can tell their stories.
Right, the Marvel. You want all the Marvel stuff at least to be together.
It would have been nice to have Infinity War have Galactus like he was in the book, but you can't have that because of rights issues.
And then you've got a Silver Surfer too, right? We
Correct.
can't get Silver Surfer.
Can't get Silver Surfer. We supposedly you can't use the Skrull. That's what. Well, it's time for bed.
All right,
Good night.
well, we're cutting this short, so good night, everybody.
Like the Skrull is also held by Fox, which is why we got the Chithalu in the Avengers.
Oh, interesting.
Which are the ultimate renditions of the Skrull.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So
that's a lot of strangeness, and Paul,
like Doctor Strange,
Doctor Strange, yes.
Professor Strange,
yes. Is it Professor Strange?
I don't know.
Orthodontist Strange. What I think is really interesting with these movies is because at least I don't know about you, but when I saw that thing that we shall not be talked about, I had a lot of thoughts about not talking about The Last Jedi. There's a trend with movies in general where it's like if you don't quite know what to do, because that's sort of really, that's loaded to say it like that. But I say, but a tool that I think that works is that if you've got a franchise and you've got you've got another movie coming. You know you've got at least one more movie coming, that you just try to F it up as ridiculously as you can, so that there's the obligation to either A, make that movie. In the case of like a TV series like Alien Nation or something like that, where they think they're going to get canceled, and they want to do more, they want to keep making money. So it's like, okay, well, we'll kill off all these characters and we'll have this weird gas and we'll do all this stuff. And then people were like, oh, what the hell happened? Or Twin Peaks. It didn't work for Twin Peaks, but the end of the original series of Twin Peaks, that show just loses its mind. And then the main character goes insane and is possessed by a serial killer. And it's just like
Spoilers.
But I'm just saying that, 25 years ago, spoilers. But I'm just saying that you've got this thing of, or in a trilogy, the second one's always dark. Empire Strikes Back, it's like, Luke gets his hand cut off and Han Solo's frozen and everything goes to hell and the good guys lose.
Luke finds out that Vader's his father.
On and on and on. And I think that, and again, Star Wars is kind of still the template for these franchises.
And going back to the TV series, I think Aaron Lane had pointed out that the TV series Sledgehammer, they screwed up the finale thinking they weren't going to get another season. And then they got another season and had to unscrew it.
Well,
wasn't it an atomic bomb or something?
Yeah, atomic bomb where they blew everything up with an atomic bomb. And that's funny because they were thinking it was the end, but because they did that formula accidentally, correctly, everyone got so intrigued by the fact that they blew everything up that they got another shot. So you got this thing where, these are money people. These are not stupid people making these movies. You've got this thing where it's like, well, we've got to have somewhere to build up to. We've got to have somewhere to go, and we've got to top ourselves. So, like, I always felt like with the Star Trek movies, they had a formula of every other movie sucks. Like, I feel like that must have been
until
on
they
purpose.
Got to Next Generation.
Well,
and then it was every
movie sucks.
Every first movie sucked. Because every even movie was the original, and the Next Generation
was like every movie was slightly not as good as a typical episode of the Next Generation. But the original Star Trek, it was like Star Trek the Motion Picture. It's like they knew everyone was excited about Star Trek the Motion Picture, and I feel like that it was a disappointment because everyone paid their money, but then they weren't happy with what they got. So it was a financial success, but a critical failure. But then they had everyone's money. So they made the second movie really awesome, which got everybody really excited. And then the third movie is kind of
took a shit.
And then the fourth one is awesome.
Best one ever.
And then the sixth one is crap, or fifth one. I guess I missed one. I missed five.
One?
5 is good.
What's 5?
5 is the one.
Final Frontier, isn't it?
Yeah, that one's the really bad one where they're singing row your boat.
Gotta go see God.
And Kirk has to challenge God. Kirk is like saying everyone's lines too. Kirk is like fascinating. He's like basically talking for everybody. He's just basically rubbing his musk all over that movie and not letting anybody else do anything. But anyhow, the idea is that in the Star Trek universe, at least those first Star Trek movies, it seemed like they fought that demon of franchises, which is diminishing returns, by fucking it on purpose. Where it's like, okay, we know that if it sucks bad enough, that people will want to not only not make it suck, but to
lackluster,
to throw it off enough to where people want more, where they want to see everyone fix it. They want it to be fixed. Especially you got sci-fi fans and horror fans. We're talking about OCD. They want everything to be fixed. They want their franchise fixed. So I think that with like The Last Jedi, we're kind of off the map. I don't even know where this series is going to go after this. And because of that, I think it's going to be really easy for them to satisfy the audience's expectation. Because right now we don't know, we don't have any expectation. We just want to know what's going to happen next, and we want obviously some of the characters we miss and we want back, some of the situations we don't like, some of the things we're confused about. And so hopefully they're hoping that, okay, if I pay another $14, I might get all these things satiated, right? So Avengers, I think, I don't know if we should talk. We don't want to review it, right? We don't want to talk about it.
I don't really want to review it. I don't think we need to review it.
I'm not saying review it, but I mean, is it not talking about it to say whether we liked it or not?
I guess we could say, because I know that not Star Wars, we said that we liked or
We
not
said that
liked.
Because my feeling is when I saw this film that should not be named that we're not talking about, is that a lot of people are going to hate this ending, and then I imagined the people who are going to hate it the most, adults taking their kids to see a superhero movie and to have to go, no, you know,
It's gonna. It's like Transformers 1986.
No, he's not really dead.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I thought it was a little bit on the more violent side. Not even counting the ending, all the way up to there.
It's kind of got the Alien.
You got the whole genocide stuff going on.
Alien,
so on and so forth.
Alien 3 kind of vibe.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people will be actually upset about it because there's another one coming out. You know, I mean, to me, it's like, you know, they've already got it set up where it's going to be. Ultimately has to be reversed. All these characters are going to be in other movies. They've already announced that there's going to be a Black Panther too.
Yes,
so Black Panther cannot be gone. Spoilers.
Yes, but you know, but that is assuming that your audience is a well-read, activated comic book movie fan. For the general public who just want to see super dude fight a bad guy, that might be a really bitter pill to pay money to see a movie where all the heroes get their asses kicked. All right, on that regard, we're going to go out to a break, and
I'm going to get my ass kicked.
I'm going to kick Paul's ass.
And I'm going to like it.
The fine family-run space for oddities, collectibles, retro kitsch, antiques.
Don't you mean eclectic crap?
We like to say one-of-a-kind items, Paul. Area 707. That's Area 707, located inside Cackleberry Antique Mall in Paradise, Pennsylvania. Please visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Area707PA. That's facebook.com/Area707PA. Come see us. There's Cinema Insomnia merchandise there too, and
Eclectic crap.
that's right, at Area 707. If you love great cult television shows and programs like Cinema Insomnia with Mr. Lobo, Church of the Subgenius, Creature Features, Trauma, Sleazy P. Martini of Guar, Monster Madhouse, Josh Hadley's 1201 Beyond, Foamy Squirrel, and
Bestow TV.
that's right, Bestow TV even, although I think we might be cutting Bestow TV. Visit our website, osi74.com, and add Outer Space International. It's something you need in your life. It's a brand new channel that you can add to your Roku. That's right. Go to osi74.com. You're not dreaming. We're back. We're not talking about the Avengers, so stop bugging us.
Quit it.
We got, God damn it. I don't know. No, I shouldn't say God damn it, right?
You've already said fuck. So.
Well, you can edit that out.
You
right?
said fuck. I'm not going to edit it out.
No?
I might actually put like an echo underneath it and fanfare.
Is that bad podcast etiquette? I don't know. I don't know what works in podcasts or not. Are you listening to this with your kids? And that's the thing. You're taking your kids to a movie, and you got, I don't know. I'm making up superhero names here.
Spider-Man? What?
I
made that up.
There's Spider-Man. No. How about Arachnid Kid?
How about Man Spider?
Arachnid Kid. Arachnid Kid, let's say, turns into dust. How do you explain that to your kid? Like, okay, well, maybe he's in an alternate universe. Maybe this is a dream. Maybe this is a time thing. Maybe Dr. Weird switched out the the time condom in the invisible wallet.
I want to see your movie. Actually, where do I get tickets for that?
I mean,
You got me a time condom.
well, you got the invisible wallet.
Could that just be the title? Time
You've got
condom and the invisible wallet.
You got the Soul credit card. You got the time condom. You've got the maybe the Soul student ID,
the Soul license,
or the Soul license. You could have the comb, the what is it? The reality comb. All those things could be in your
the dollar bill of truth.
Yeah, all those things could be yes, and heart. All of those things could be in the invisible wallet, and we're all fighting for it. Maybe that's an OSI.
Maybe this instead of the invisible wallet, can it just be the infinity wallet?
Oh, that's too on the nose. Why not invisible wallet?
Because then you wouldn't be able to see it.
That would make it so cool.
You could see infinity better than you could see invisible.
I don't know. Infinity is infinity's just as intangible as invisible.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
All right.
Didn't you learn anything from my ass kicking?
Point made. So,
which, by the way, I was very much due for that ass kicking. Thank you very much.
So, Arachnid Kid and half of the defenders of the universe disappear. How do you explain that to your kids? And then you go, well, just wait a year. It'll all work itself out.
It'll be fine.
I
You're buy our action figures.
Yeah. And how do you sell an action figure for a character that's turned into dry leaves at the end of a movie?
I don't know. Do we ask Hasbro how it worked out for them?
We get Hasbro on the line.
I mean, with Hasbro, when they killed off all their characters in Transformers 86, it was because they were canceling those lineups. They weren't going to make those toys anymore, so they were killing those toys and replacing them with new ones, and they got huge backlash. And I guess the same thing carried over with G.I. Joe, because Duke was supposed to die.
Oh, okay.
And they had such a sour backlash with Optimus Prime dying that Duke is in a coma. Because I remember the line at the end, the very lame line is, Duke's gonna be okay. He was shot in the heart, but he's in a coma because
gonna be all
that's how
right.
it works. Oh, he wasn't shot. He was stabbed with a snake.
Stabbed with a snake. Was it Serpentor? Who killed Duke?
I don't know. Wasn't that on Dynasty?
I'm not a G.I. Joe guy. We have to wait till the not G.I. Joe episode.
Well, that was the time we talk about it, because then the G.I. Joe episode we won't talk about.
Okay. So obviously, Disney, and this is funny that we're talking about Disney movies here that are going so dark. But
every movie's been Disney. No, I guess Jurassic Park wasn't Disney.
No, but it's going to be.
Might as well be.
Just wait. The thing that's interesting, watch your ass, Universal. Disney's coming for you. The thing that's interesting is that, like I said, Disney is I guess Disney killed Bambi. Disney knows how to break its audience's heart, and they know that works. Because you get this emotional, when Arachnid Kid turns to, peppercorns or whatever. That's
tough. That's
upsetting.
Rough. That's a rough part.
That's rough.
I think it's even more surprising is
he's, obviously he's got his hopes and dreams, and he wants to succeed. He wants to do well.
Right.
He
wants to graduate college and support his 7 kids.
Flatiron gent who wants to do right
Need
by
to
that
work on
guy.
that one a little bit.
Yeah, it's not so good.
No.
Maybe like metal head,
titanium alloy boy,
alloy guy. So
Chip's alloy.
So bet you buy the chip. Phony smirk. Okay. So
isn't that with the blue guys?
Phony
live
smirk.
in a village.
No, that's the Smurfs. So phony smirk, he wants to do right. Arachnid Kid wants to do good by phony smirk, and it's sad to see him turn to dried potato chips. What?
Crunch. Yeah, I was just waiting for the crunch.
So, but obviously this must make. On paper, like they brought this into a boardroom to a bunch of people who care for nothing but making money, and those people went, "Yes,
No.
this is what we got to do. We got to kill everybody."
But I hate to be that guy, and that happens in the comic. They took that risk in the comic book. Now, granted, it was 4 issues. So, I mean, the material existed. Mm-hmm. They knew this 10 years ago.
So
They knew when they announced Thanos. I mean, which movie did they first announce Thanos in? Was it? It wasn't Avengers. He was in it prior. There was a tease speech prior to Avengers, wasn't there? I don't remember which one it was.
I don't know.
The first Avengers.
It's definitely it happens with Iron Man at some point, right? Was that the first?
No, the cut scene at the end was the whole Avengers initiative, and where you get to see.
Oh, okay.
One-eyed Jack.
So you're saying that
sorry,
once they committed to
Are we
Thanos,
not playing this game anymore?
I don't know. Once they committed to what?
Grimace?
Thermos. Once they committed to Grimace, you say they have to just go all the way and kill everybody because that's what happens in the comic book?
Well, I think if they're committing to Grimace to begin with, and they've pretty much set that standard from the beginning, you know, I think people would be afraid that they were going to be bullshit if they went that far and didn't do it or chickened out. Or
who are they going to be? Who are they afraid of? A bunch of nerds who read combos?
You've seen that fan base, right?
I mean, how many people even read anymore? That's what I want to know. Why are they afraid of? You think they're afraid of? Because movie makers have not been afraid of anybody reading for a long time.
I mean, it's like they had balls to do it. I mean, the discussion that maybe we do an episode of not talk about not player one, Ready Player One, not episode not player
-1
minus not what anyway not Ready Player One, and how far away removed it was from that book that and it was not that great, I mean, but people who didn't read that book thought it was fine,
right? But you of all people know that movies and books are not translatable things, and sometimes you can have all the best intentions of turning a movie into a book or a book into a movie, and
but it's weird,
there are situations where certain things don't play. If you're making it and you're thinking you've got all the best intentions, I'm going to make this book into a movie, and you start making it and you start filming scenes and you start laying it out and you're like, this isn't entertaining, this isn't working, so now what do I do? So then what do?
You put the Universal logo on it and you ship it out to the VHS stores. Next week it's hosted on Cinema Insomnia. I don't.
All right. I guess I asked for that.
No, but I mean, I think we're spoiled because we're in an age where, as long as you keep the core of the character, you keep the heart of that character in check. I mean, the Iron Man movies weren't direct interpretations of the Iron Man books. Invisible Wallet wasn't a direct interpretation of that. But at the heart, it still had those origins, and I think that it plays well because yes, you can't translate everything exactly word for word. I think when it comes to Ready Player One, they just took the idea and just skinned the basic Hollywood premise of a love story, and just kind of took this idea of the book and just kind of slapped it on there and just kind of did a typical Hollywood fare with a book's title because it's going to sell.
Right.
It's going to put asses in seats because this book's title's in it.
Right.
And I think that we live in an age where that movie could have easily been broken down into multiple movies and handled with a little bit more of TLC, and could have been that much better. Instead, it felt more like a cash grab to me, where it's like, I just need to pay for my condo. I don't really give two shits about it.
But you don't know that though, right? Spielberg could have had a real passion in that.
Yeah, could have.
But you don't think so?
I don't know. I mean, I think I almost feel like Spielberg is also almost old school, where he still has his old way of making things. I mean, that movie is very much a Spielberg movie.
I mean, but maybe that's
but Marvel is
maybe
a
that's
more modern talent, modern school.
Yeah, but maybe maybe in Spielberg's mind, maybe it was a very meta move for him. Maybe he was thinking, well, wouldn't it be interesting if we just made this in like a sort of 80s movie with the same sort of progression with the love story and the 3-act structure? And
if they made it into an 80s movie
money.
and not every other movie that has ever come out.
Yeah.
Let's make this like Star Trek 137.
Make this like instead of Star Trek 2, 4, and 6.
I mean, I think it would have been. Speaking about Ready Player One, I think it would have been better if they would have broken it down. Here's a question: Why did they only ever make movies as a single movie or a trilogy? Like Ready Player One probably could have easily been 2 movies, but I doubt that 2 movies would ever been pitched. It's either we either got to make this all in 1 movie or we got to make this all in 3 movies.
Well,
if they were to make it,
the 2 movie, there isn't a strong case for the 2 movie structure. I mean, like whenever you announce like the thing with the Infinity War, I think that's probably why they took the part 2 off of that movie, is because like Kill Bill was like, oh, there's too much movie. Well, we'll just call it part 1. It's like nobody wants to feel like they're paying for half a movie.
Right. I think they looked back at Harry Potter, which would have, the last Harry Potter. I don't know the name. The Harry Potter and the Invisible Wallet of Death.
Yes.
So we'll just keep that.
Harry Potter and the 36-year-old novice reader.
Okay. And they broke that out into a part 1 and part 2. And I think one did less business than the other because they're like, oh, well, I got to come for 2 movies. I gotta pay what, $12 instead of $6
To find out
watch
what's
this.
yes.
And I think that
Or 28 instead of 14, depending on what movie theater you go into.
right, are free versus free if you're friends with people.
Yes, like us. We got friends who own movie theaters who just let us in. But yeah, that's
But
not
I think
fair.
that because that's what they did. Marvel originally announced it was part 1 and part 2, and then since rescinded it for that very statement. It's like, well, we don't want people to think that they have to come back, and we want people to know that this is going to be a self-enclosed movie, which. I mean, it is, right?
It is if
I mean,
you
there are strings that
if
are
you're
gonna
looking
have
at
to be.
Thermos or Grimace as the hero.
Right.
It's just not the ending you'd want if you're rooting for the other side.
I don't know. I just say that they took balls. I mean, it's better than the cookie cutter. It's better than the same old.
Yeah.
You know, I know that there's a lot of complaints about what's really the difference between Doctor Strange's story and Iron Man's story. They're both rich people that end up injured at some point and then use that to make themselves into superpowered.
Well, let's be honest. There are only 13 plots. So
And there's 20 Marvel movies. So
yeah. So we've already gone through. They're going to be like chasing whales or something at some point soon. But I mean, they're the thing about these movies that is that the way that I feel is that are these movies plot movies, or are these movies story movies? Are these movies character movies? Now, obviously, in an imperfect world, they would be all of those things. But I kind of feel like, and I guess we're just so taken by special effects. And special effects come so easy. They really don't come easy. They come on the backs of millions of people, the pixel minds of Burbank. These poor people who were just behind a monitor all day, pushing numbers around, trying to realize all these things just so people can go, that's just CG. Doesn't look real. Does not. I would do it practical. So, I mean, you've got these amazing things where you've got these battlefields with 20 jillion characters fighting at the same time that you can't even really process what you're looking at because there's so much happening. And this bigger and more grandiose, and it's become a baseline to where it has almost zero emotional impact because it's like watching a video game. So the only thing you've got is to make you love a character and then kill them, right? I mean, that's the only thing that really can grab anybody anymore, it seems, at least looking at more modern movies. I mean, just saying the last year so far, where it's like, we've got nothing left up our sleeve. We got to do something drastic,
Or Jurassic Park.
Whatever. Let's kill Luke Skywalker. All right. So, or maybe not, because again, it's a similar situation where, he he disappears, which is a weird, stupid.
Turns into Space Ghost.
Yeah. So who knows what happens to him at that moment? And that's kind of how this movie is too. We're assuming all those people are dead. We don't really know what's happening to them as they are unraveling and disappearing.
But it's also the bullshit thing is that a lot of these movies, and Marvel movies included, is he's dead, he's alive the next movie. He's dead, he's alive the next movie, which is it takes away stakes too, where you don't have the courage to keep them dead.
Yeah, and I don't know. Again, let's be honest. These are fantasy movies. No one can ever really be dead because they're never really alive. These are pretend. This is playtime. This is pretend time. This is not a movie about real people with real problems. This is a movie about pretend people with pretend people problems. So if you're not going in there with a mindset to play and just enjoy and have a fantasy and have an adventure, I mean, you can't just sit there with your arms folded and go, that's bullshit, that wouldn't happen. You wouldn't get very far. So at a certain point, it's like, we got to make it, the stakes have to be real. But on the other side of it, it's like, how much do you also have to know you're there to deliver the goods and deliver a fun movie. All right. So on that said, we're gonna go out to a break.
The Incredible Hulk meets Spider-Man. Each figure a foot tall and fully posable.
All you need is a piece of string, and here comes Spider-Man.
Avalanche! This is a job for the Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk with a face that's mean, lots of muscle and skin that's green. Superhero Hulk.
Good job, handsome.
The Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man from the Superhero Collection, each sold separately by Mego.
Paul was kind enough to ask if Mr. Lobo needs a bathroom break.
Yeah, I mean, I handed you the cup.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Baja Blast. No, the Baja Blast is not kicked in, and I am so dried out that I don't think I'm going to need to go to the bathroom for 5 days or so. But thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad that we're
Because I don't think I can handle this on my own. I did an entire episode on my own, and I'm surprised I haven't been lynched yet. Because everybody's like, "What did you do with Mr. Lobo?
Where are the bodies?" And I've run out on Paul a couple of times on the show, and I apologize. That's not a good host to do.
I take that back. It's a joke. Nobody's complained about me yet.
That you know of.
That I know of. But I don't plan on doing a solo episode anytime in the future.
But, I thought that took courage. And again, I think we've kind of pulled an Avengers on people to where it's like, okay, well, what do we do with, how about if Mr. Lobo's gone and Paul is just by himself? I mean, we took me away from the show.
Yeah. And that was, to peel back the curtain a little bit, it was that we have consistently put an episode out every week since Christmas. We have not, I can't say we've never, not anymore.
Yeah.
But we haven't missed a week.
Up to that point. Yeah.
And at that time, I'm like, we'd only miss 1 week. Mm-hmm. If only we could produce something. You and I were talking on the phone beforehand, and we had thrown out this idea of just me doing a solo one and just making the joke about you not being there and just maybe play clips or do whatever. Mm-hmm. And we're like, that was great, but no, why would we do that? And then I hung up the phone and I look at the clock and it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, why wouldn't we do that? Let's just do it. If it sucks, it sucks. It's like not every episode has to be a winner. And unfortunately, since then we've missed 2 weeks in a row, but we're making it up.
We tried to
make sure that gap was filled, and we tried to make sure that there was still something,
and there is a lot of good material in that episode, and
there's stuff in that I don't think will ever air. So
I feel like that in
Especially
a way,
Chris.
It's an experiment, which I think if you're going to be an artist, you have to experiment and learn and try things. And the other side of it, on the more pragmatic side, is we had somewhere to go after that. Mr. Lobo gets to come back.
Yes, and everybody gets to be happy and stuff.
So
and it was a test on myself too, because it was like when I first sent it to you, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be awkward. It's going to be weird. And the thing was I knew when I went to recording it, it was going to be awkward and weird for me anyway. So I just made it. I just played on that and just made it awkward and weird on top of it. So it was that awkward or weird plus what I was adding to it on top of it to make it even sound even worse than what it really was. It really wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was good, and I thought it was interesting, and I think again, we've done a show from a laundromat, we've done a show in a restaurant, we've done a show where Paul hardly talks. We've done a show with, we've had so many different
Guests.
kind of, with guests, without guests, and in a car.
At your place, at my place. Now officially there's one from my place. We never record from there any other time.
Yeah. So, I think that there is a lot of, we're going on an adventure and we don't know where we're going, and hopefully that's what keeps it interesting. Is that sometimes we might fall down, or sometimes we might fall into gold. There's no way of knowing.
It also allowed me to experiment with another mode because we've had people wanting to Skype in and wanting to chat and stuff, and we've been just kind of like, well, we're still learning the equipment and everything, and everything that was played from the computer was jacked into the recorders. So it's like, it gave me some confidence where it's like, well, maybe we can start rolling that out now. We can start, because I know Cliff wants to take a shot at the show. And
yeah, absolutely. I think that there's it would be great to talk with some fans on the show. It would be great to talk with some of our collaborators. It would be great to have special guests. It would be great to maybe one day open it up for a phone call if we could do a live show, or maybe even a planned show where people know when they can call in. That's again all on the table, and we are excited to try new things, it's difficult in the world of not the Avengers, in the world of what we're doing, where you have an audience and they're waiting, they're just standing there waiting for the next thing you're going to do, and if you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, they'll just sort of get bored and walk away and find something else. But at the same time, if you make it too different, they'll get offended and walk away and watch something
that one
else.
episode made me mad, and I'll never come back. And it's only been one episode.
So yeah, when Paul took over the show,
You talking about like the angry nerds, and how if they would ever get mad. And we were talking earlier about the black Spider-Man suit, and how all the angry nerds got mad because they changed Peter Parker or changed his suit, so that they came up with a story to get him out of that Venom suit, and how the fan base was upset because they changed him back. They took away the black suit. They had gotten used to it. They got liked used to
it, and they grew on them.
And I guess it
grew on them.
And I guess there's like a long history of that, because I think it also goes back with like Gwen Stacy and how people didn't like
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. They hated Mary Jane Watson and all that other stuff, and there was backlash for that. But then you take her out of the equation, and people get upset over the same thing.
Well, I mean, people miss you when you're gone, right? And
hate you when you're here.
And hate you when you're here. It's like family. Well, and I think that it's difficult. Again, it's a difficult situation because you want to tell a compelling story. I think in the case of Marvel, they do have an overpopulation problem. They have so many characters that are intermingled with each other that it seems like they're going to have to hit the reset button every once in a while to keep it from getting out of control.
Well, they've pretty much capitalized on all their major stories. At what point, they've done this all within 10 years. At what point do they run out of stories that they can capitalize on? Infinity Gauntlet was actually one of their top stories, probably one of their best stories that they've done in a long time. Where do you burnt through Civil War, which they should have sat on a little bit longer and actually made it Civil War instead of Civil Scuffle. They've kind of retold. Was it Secret Invasion? They kind of they already told, and a lot of people were like, "Well, we want to see Secret Invasion." It's like they kind of did that, but they replaced the Skrulls with Hydra. It was still kind of that same story of who do you trust, and to go back on it and then do another one, but it's the Skrulls. Well, how many times can you fall for the same trick? At what point people are like, you're making me pay $7 to see this stuff, and you're just recycling. I mean, people are already complaining that they're recycling stories from Iron Man to Doctor Strange. So, at what point do they run through all this stuff? If they were able to make everything, what stories are left? What, Secret Wars?
I guess I liked Secret Wars.
I mean,
I remember reading it as a teenager and enjoying it.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what other big storylines. I mean, the Winter Soldier was Winter Soldier. They made that no movie.
But there might be, maybe they could be off the map. They could do some stories that have never been seen before.
Is that when the people just say bullshit? Is that when they start losing the fans, or people getting angry?
Would
or
they say bullshit? Because really, most of what I know, there's you, and I know that there's people who read comics, but most people just have somebody fansplain what happens in the comic to them, or read it off the Wikipedia just so that they can complain about it.
All right, just because I did that like an hour ago does not mean that you have to air it on the podcast. I just was politely explaining.
Yes.
But
I mean, some of these titles, some of these titles, now obviously some comic books had, millions of readers, but some of these titles had thousands of readers. How many people had a subscription to New Mutants? I don't know how many, but I was one of those people. I was a teenager. I read that comic book. I had a subscription to New Mutants. But maybe they only. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe there were only 10,000 people reading that comic book. I mean, are they going to govern all their decisions based on a pool of 10,000 people who read a comic book?
And I guess what in terms of New Mutants, they're already going off the mat with the filming. Yeah. They're making it a horror movie.
Yeah, because of the trailer. Because they had the trailer had horror overtones, and it had such good response that they went back and changed the movie and made it more horror.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, it's a business, right?
Right.
And the thing is that even when the comics were being made, all the choices they were making weren't necessarily because they were trying to tell the best story, but they were trying to captivate the tastes of the audience at the time.
I mean, I guess if you look at the mutant side of the things, we're already getting retellings of movies that we've already done. Mm-hmm. We had the X-Men Last Stand, which was basically a very, very loose Dark Phoenix saga. You got the Dark Phoenix, and now since they've rebooted it with Days of Future Past, was it next year or the year after, we're getting a Dark Phoenix story again, but they're doing it right this time. But it's still
the same story.
Still the same story, basically.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's not really the same story. X-Men, the Last Stand sucked.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't a very good Dark Phoenix.
Well, and
iteration.
Again, some part of this, and this is maybe not something you want to hear, but
la 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 la. It's hard to do that. I've had
like going to Disneyland or whatever. It's a revolving door, and you've got people coming in, and you got people coming out, and you have people who stay with these characters for a while, and then they move on, and then you got a whole new group of people who come in, and those stories and everything are all fresh to them.
Right.
So,
I mean, do we enter the reboot phase too? We have the 80s. God,
I'm tired of reboots.
We have the 80s, Total Recall, and then we have the Total Recall of a couple years ago. Are we doing? Do we get the same point in Marvel where we've got 2001? Was that when Iron Man came out? I believe. We have that version, and then we have the 2031 version of the same story. We're going to retell origins over.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like we're going to hit that same thing that we had with the cycle of monster movies, where it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde again, and it's the Invisible Man again, and it's a different version of Frankenstein. It's another Dracula. I mean, I think that at a certain point, they'll just keep, or Westerns. They kept doing Westerns until they just couldn't do them anymore. The bubble bursts at a certain point. And that day where some 8-year-old walks out of that movie theater and wants his mom to get their money back, it's just done. And it's done forever. I mean, I don't know forever, but done for a long time. There might be another 25-year cycle before people are ready for those kind of movies again.
When Batman and Robin kills it. I mean, Batman and Robin killed the superhero franchise for years.
Yeah,
Hurt it bad. Being quippy, but it was true.
It hurt it bad. Yeah, it was the bubble burst. They thought they couldn't fail, and they did real big. And that's why I don't understand. Like some of these movies were like, and I think we've talked about this on the podcast. Is it like, and
We need to put that printed on a shirt.
2075, we're going to make this guy's movie. It's like, how do you even know? How can you say? How can you make those kind of plans for movies in 10 years in the future when you don't know if this movie you're making is going to make any money? You can't be that confident, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's that robust to where they feel like that they've got an empire that will go forever. But
and then when it strikes back,
yeah, I mean, Charlton Comics probably thought they were going to go forever, right? Dell Comics probably they thought they were going to go forever.
I mean, kind of do.
Dell?
Isn't Dell run by didn't IDW buy up their properties or whatever?
I don't know if somebody else taking your
IP
failed characters and rebooting them is a success. Not for Dell anyway. Right? If I start making Felix the Cat comics, that doesn't mean that Felix the Cat.
But somebody does make Felix the Cat comics.
Well, yeah, of course they do. Because Felix the Cat goes in the public domain next year.
Right.
I can make a Betty Boop handbag right now, but that has nothing to do with the people who originated Betty Boop, right?
Right.
All right. Well, I guess this has been a sort of not very much about the Avengers.
I do. Hopefully, we not nodded it enough to make it worth being not an episode.
It's almost not an episode with as much as we were not nodding around.
So hopefully, we skirted it just enough.
I feel like I think the important thing here is that we end this in some unsatisfying way.
Sure.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say pODDcast?
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as Bestow TV, at bestow.tv, on YouTube /Bestow TV, on Twitter at Bestow Prod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. That's patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.